water, earth, fire, air. Long ago, the four nations lived together in harmony. Then, everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I am your host, Steven Stark, and today we are talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender, a fantastic animated series that I have seen probably 10 or 12 times at this point. Joining me today are a couple of good friends. Right now we have Patrick, who plays in my D&D group, and if you remember the D&D stream way back that didn't go off as planned very well, but he was a part of that stream because he plays in my regular weekly, well, semi-weekly, or maybe once a month at this point. But Patrick, introduce yourself, say hi to everybody, and tell them who you are and what you do, and or anything you want to let them know.
Hi, glad to be here, Steven. If you hear a baby in the background, that's my niece Dakota. She wants to be in here with me, but she can't. So she's gonna cry a bit. My name's Patrick. I don't have a picture up because my face is so ugly that it broke my camera. I'm friends with Steve. I've been on the D&D stream several months ago with Kurt. My Twitter account is @AnEnemySpy.
Yeah, and you're down in the description. I've got a link to that.
I got into Avatar when I was in my early 20s in college. And I just watched the entire series all the way through, and I just watched it again and again and again, and just for probably a course of over a year, just every single night, I just watched 2 or 3 episodes of Avatar because I was that hooked on it.
Yep, obsessed even, huh?
Yeah, absolutely obsessed.
Well, there are worse things to obsess over because we're going to dig into it, but it is a fantastic story from top to bottom, left to right. So let me ask everybody in the chat, who has seen the show and who has not? I know a few people have already talked about that, but who has seen all of it? I assume most of you have, or you wouldn't be here to talk about it. And my story of it is like, I became aware of it right after it finished, and I watched it, and I didn't watch it because it's a kid's show and I'm a grown up, you know. But you may have noticed that I'm wearing a necklace and I've got things on my arms. The first cosplay I ever did was Sokka cosplay. And this is Sokka's necklace, pretty accurate to how it's drawn. This is Sokka's armbands. I have a blue bodysuit. I've got my trusty boomerang. So, yeah, I fell in love with this show, and there's a lot to love about it, and we're going to go over that. So, that having been said, Patrick, what was the thing about it do you think that sucked you in so much, that made you really, truly fall in love with the show?
I think the episode, it was the third episode that really got to me. That's the one where they've gotten out of the Southern Water Tribe. They've finally gone out into the world. They go to the Southern Air Temple and they find it just empty and just nothing there but just skeletons. And Aang, he just loses it, and he goes into the Avatar state, and that's where Katara has to talk him down. And at the same time, there's the ostensible villain of the series we've seen so far, Zuko. He has a subplot that shows he's more honorable than he seems.
Right. Yeah, and again, there's a lot to love about the story, but I agree with you. That moment is really compelling as we start to unravel Aang's story about, because he's been gone for 100 years. And
yeah, but for him, like a day.
Look, if I was a 12-year-old boy and I was told, hey, you can't be a kid anymore, you have to get ready to save the whole world. I mean, I'm sure a part of me would feel proud, and a part of him did, but he's 12 years old. That's what a burden that is, to feel the weight of the world on your shoulders, especially when you see, I guess it's a bigger burden for him once he realizes what turning away from that did.
Yeah. Well, because now he's got the guilt on top of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, as far as characters to love go, though, Aang is kind of, he's a great character, don't get me wrong, but he's not even the best character in his own show.
Well, no, I mean, I'm going to say objectively the best character is Zuko, but Sokka is the best character.
Okay, I think both answers are correct. Oh, hold on, excuse me. But yeah, I think both answers are correct. Zuko, and we're going to dig into character by character and maybe book by book. But Zuko is such an amazing character, so layered. For those of you that are watching and aren't finished, be warned, Zuko is, I mean, you can't avoid it at some point, because when a character has a really excellent redemption arc, it's almost become parlance in the nerd community to call it pulling a Zuko. If you pull a Zuko, you were a bad guy who became a good guy. So, but I watching the journey is incredibly interesting, and like, I lost my train of thought, but I don't feel like it's spoiling anything. Oh yeah, I remember my thought, because as you say,
well, I think he doesn't just become good. He goes from being these villainous character to being kind of the anti-hero. Like in season 2, he and Aang barely even cross paths at all, except till the one part in the middle and then at the very end. But Zuko's got his own plot going through where, like, you're seeing him come to terms with who he is, what the Fire Nation is, what they've done to the people of this world, and you see him grow into a new person. And then right when it's the point where it's his chance for redemption, he chooses the dishonorable path and goes back to his father.
Right.
And that's so powerful.
And it's absolutely relatable. I mean, we are all dancing on the strings of those that came before us, and that's not any great piece of wisdom, especially, but it's so well executed with Zuko, the way he's just trying to please his father any way he can. And his father, being the abusive, megalomaniacal asshole that he is, there is no pleasing him.
Yeah. He's seeking honor from someone who has none.
Right. But yeah, and furthermore on Zuko, like, you see the seeds of his redemption planted pretty early on. Yeah, as John Webster says, I can tell already, and John said earlier that he's seen 8 episodes so far, and he says, I can tell already that he's not going to stay a bad guy. The seeds of him being honorable are already there. Right. But
it's not just a simple oh, I see now that I'm bad, now I'm a good guy. Like, he has to truly hit rock bottom.
Hello.
Hold that thought. Hello. Hi, Maddie.
How's it going?
We're doing great. How are you?
I'm having a blast. This setup is very fancy.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
So, Maddie, you've been on before.
Yes. Hi, everyone.
Hi, but tell everybody who you are and where they can find you and what you do, if anything. Whatever
Hello.
You want to tell them.
My name is Maddie. I'm a cosplayer and a podcaster and some other things. A verber of nouns is what my friend called me once, and I think that's very accurate.
That's really good.
Yeah, like you can find me on the internet at any corner at Maddie K. Ray, which I believe is my display name. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if it's
it probably when I take this down. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, yeah. Find me on social media. Figure out what I do. It's a mystery.
Maddie's a good buddy of mine. Known her for a couple of years. Maddie, I was telling everybody, I wore this especially for you. The first cosplay I ever did was Sokka.
I love it.
And so
Thank
there's my
you.
necklace, there's the arm bits. I have a blue bodysuit.
That's so nice.
I've got my trusty boomerang.
I'm wearing a shirt that says "Don't make me crop you," which I feel like is very on brand for what's happening right now. That's so cute. I love it. Yay.
All right. So everybody, welcome to Maddie. Maddie, we were just talking about how Zuko is probably the best character in the series.
Yes.
Okay. Any further thoughts on that? Anything you want to say about Zuko specifically?
Oh, wow. Yes, I love him.
He's fantastic.
He is baby. He is everything. He is the type of sort of I think so. Like there's been a conversation on the tweets that I've been seeing going around, especially in regards to Star Wars, where redemption isn't like a thing. Like you can't just be like, oh, you're good now. It's more process and a journey of atonement, and nobody exemplifies that more than Zuko, in my opinion.
I hard agree. I think Patrick, you actually said something not too dissimilar. You know.
Well, yeah, I was saying he doesn't just become a good person. He has to hit that rock bottom, and then he hits rock bottom, and then he somehow finds a shovel and digs himself even deeper.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, it's only when he's faced with just he sees his father for who he truly is, and realizes this is what I've been trying to live up to my entire life.
Yeah, and like he also has to go through that process of making amends to the people that he's wronged.
Oh yeah, and that's the most important part.
Yeah,
right.
And again, they don't just forgive him and accept him back at all.
Right.
Yeah.
No, he has to, and it's not even something that he wants to do. Like that's the whole thing. He's not trying to get back in his good graces. He's just trying to do the right thing. Well, I mean, he is at first, but like
he says if you want to take me as a friend, then take me as a prisoner.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, Zuko he's become a cultural touchstone, you know?
For sure.
Like Kylo, and I know what you're talking about, the Kylo Ren redemption. People have likened Kylo Ren to Zuko.
That's a huge reason I love Kylo Ren. As soon as I saw this guy, I'm like, oh, this guy is Zuko.
He's got the scar and everything.
Yeah, he does kind of he's kind of Zuko, who kind of rejected. He's a Zuko who followed Ozai instead of Iroh.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Speaking of Iroh,
I would say also, I'm so sorry. I would say also that Kylo is probably closer to a Azula right now.
Yes, I would agree.
He's
that whole family is pretty messed up. Anyway, so Zuko is clearly abused by his father, and that has driven him to do some pretty extreme things, which I find to be very relatable.
Yes,
I was not abused by my father. That's not what I'm saying, but I was driven to try to please him in a manner that was very detrimental to my own life, you know?
Yeah.
So I find, again, not my favorite character in the story. He's great, don't get me wrong. I think he's objectively the best. Written character in this story.
Yeah, no, I super agree. B, I also super agree because I think Azula is my favorite character, which surprises nobody if you know me at all.
Yeah,
but
that not even a little surprise.
I am just so in love with her tragedy. Anyway, we'll get to it. But yeah, no, I totally know what you mean. He is like I think he is the shining star of the series, and not even in like a main character way, but in a like look at this story, look what it gave us sort of way.
Yeah, it shows that there is a path to redemption, but that it is hard, and it is when you have to choose, and when you have to learn to, you know, he has to learn all the things that one has to learn to truly make amends for their wrongs. You know?
Yeah, and it's a choice that he has to wake up and make every day.
Mhm. But helping him on that journey is Iroh, who
Yeah.
is trying to be another. I don't know if he's the second best objectively character, but he is probably my number 2 favorite in the show.
Most tragic backstory, perhaps.
Yes.
How could anybody not like Gyro?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what's not to love?
Mm-hmm.
He's basically perfect without feeling like he's not a human being. You know?
He's a man who, you see the backstory, he's not always, this enlightened man he once was. He used to be, a brutal conqueror for the Fire Nation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until his ambition got his own son killed in the siege of Ba Sing Se that he turned his back on war.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And lost his son but can still firebend because he finds the secret of firebending. We won't get maybe too specific about certain things for those who haven't seen it, but like we are full spoilers,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
so the show is worth watching year after year after year for me. So
Yeah, absolutely.
even if you know what's coming, it's still so worth watching because it's funny and it's beautiful and it's excellent on every level.
And I still have yet to see a show besides actually probably The Good Place might have this one beat, but I've yet to see a show that is short format with such intricate characters and such a wide, beautiful story. Like, I don't know how they managed to do all of that in 20-minute episodes, but
Right.
they do, and it's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, feel free to bring up whatever you want. My favorite thing about this show is the characters, so I'm just kind of hopping from character to character, but
Right.
you are not wrong to talk about themes with this show because it does it so well. You are not wrong to talk about world building with the show because it does it so well.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And like the way even that the different bendings work and the philosophies around the different nations and like even down to like, no, if you're an earthbender, you're using Hungar Kung Fu because that is a very squat style, very grounded, very like limited mobility. But if you're an airbender, Bagua, circle walking, which is...
I love that Toph. She uses praying mantis style, which is a style that was invented by a blind woman in real life.
Oh, cool.
You have touched on one of my favorite things about the world, which is the sort of detail that they put into the bending just because. They didn't have to. They didn't have to go that hard. They did not have to go that hard. And they did. And they gave us Southern Raiders. They didn't have to go that hard, but they did.
Ooh, yeah. I'm sorry. You just goosebumped me. This show has made me cry.
Southern Raiders. That episode is a ride.
This show makes me ugly sob. Not even like, oh, I'm so sad. I'm just like destroyed. Like this show takes me and like bashes me against the wall until I'm in pieces, and then it's like, go pick yourself up. And I'm like, okay.
And it does it in the first season.
I know.
So, Maddie, actually, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Patrick, and you weren't here. He brought up, and he talked about like literally the third season of the show when they visit the air temple, and Aang freaks out when he finds all of his dead, that was the point that got Patrick hooked. Do you remember the thing that hooked you, or the thing that you were just like at the end of it, you're like, this is why I love this so much, this thing?
Gosh, I don't know. Like, I really want to say, like, every time Zuko made like a character development thing, like the Cave of Two Lovers and like all of that, I just like, there is no war in Ba Sing Se. Like, what the who puts that in a kids show? Like, it's like
still
what?
1984.
Right.
Yeah. And I was just like, this show is beautiful, and this show is perfect, and this show, like, it doesn't treat its audience like children, and that's why it's so popular.
Right. Now, it's written in such a way that it's not written for kids, but it's written thinking kids will watch it.
I mean, like, I think people like they say kid show, and they kind of mean that to denigrate something.
Yeah.
I mean, Avatar is a kid show. It is a show.
Oh,
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but it doesn't. But it doesn't
that's
like
good thing.
infantilize its audience. Is what I
Right.
mean.
It's not a bad thing. That is a
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, no, and I love it. Like, I wish I had more of that when I was a child. And how long ago did this come out? How old was I when I watched this the first time? I don't even remember.
2005.
2005. Okay, yeah, I was baby. I was a child, and I wish I had more of this.
See, I was 13 when it came out, so I was too cool for cartoons. And then I got into it when I was in college.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, my kids watched it when it was out on Nickelodeon, but I came to it slightly after it ended. But man, I fell in love with it then, and I probably watched it at least once a year since.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so do you have a favorite character that's not Zuko?
Azula.
Sokka.
Okay. Azula, Sokka. I'm gonna go.
June. June. I love June.
June is great.
I also love.
Which
God.
one is June?
She's Jennifer.
She's the bounty hunter.
Yeah. Jennifer Hale's character rides the giant beetle.
Okay, with the mole,
Mm-hmm.
the mole rat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, I got you.
Yeah. What am I saying? What else? Oh, I really think Ty Lee is very interesting. But in like a way that I don't know, she reminds me of a horror trope almost. Like she's like
Stepford's wife.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she kind of is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
yeah, she smiles and she's always like nice to Azula, but underneath that is just like the fear that if I don't please her constantly, she'll kill me.
Yeah. But also like she can essentially do what she wants. Like she's not afraid of benders. She's not afraid of anything. And like that was my first, as someone who loves sort of that type of character, like that was I think my first exposure to a character like that. One who was like not afraid of like what they were doing and really truly believed in themselves, and like a villain that was, and she's not even a villain. Like that's the thing. It's so great, but she was an antagonist. She was absolutely an antagonist, and I never seen any antagonists done in that sort of manner. So yeah, love Ty Lee. Cool.
Mm-hmm. Here's what I have written about Ty Lee in the notes. Chi blocking is legit because it is. Her ability to a bender
about Legend of Korra might be a little bit off topic, but the chi blocking in that show is really awesome too.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
I mean,
don't even get me started on Amon. We're not. Yeah. This is a different. We're not.
Yeah. We'll have a Korra stream some other time.
Okay, I'm gonna sit here and be quiet.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I want to mention, but like. Korra is a whole other block of cheese, man.
Oh yeah, I know.
And definitely worth watching to those of you that haven't. It is the follow-up series, and it is very, very good also. And maybe a little bit more tightly written than Avatar.
I agree.
Well, Avatar is one long storyline. Korra is 4 separate storylines that are just connected to each other.
By having the same characters in it. Yeah. And you can't talk about Ty Lee without talking about May, because that completes Azula's trilogy, you know.
Trinity.
Yeah. And the only notes I have about May are, why is this the kind of girl I'm attracted to? I digress. They do make great foils for Azula, because they're so opposite, but they're clearly friends with each other.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It really feels to me like especially, you can't talk about Avatar without talking about power dynamics, and especially in regards to that sort of like serfdom, like monarchy versus everyone else. Like neither of them are on Azula's level. They will never be on Azula's level. They know they will never be on Azula's level. And even though I think Ty Lee is like kind of a nobody, and May is like somebody from the like court or whatever, the fire court.
Well, they would both have to be in the noble class to for Azula to even know who they are.
Right.
Yeah.
But also Ty Lee was from the circus, right?
No,
Well,
she ran away to join.
She
the
left her
circus.
family to join it.
Oh, okay, cool. That makes sense. Yeah. So, but like they're not on Azula's level, period, and they
Not from a point of power dynamics. You're right.
Yeah.
And
I
Azula
mean,
won't ever let them
from
forget that.
Azula's perspective, the only person remotely on her level is her father.
Yeah, agreed. But that sort of that connection that they both have, especially when Azula's like push comes to shove, like she's not looking out for them, they can't look out for her anymore.
Yeah, that moment where they turn, where May chooses to save Zuko,
Yeah.
and then Ty Lee chooses to save May.
He says, "You miscalculated. I love him more than I fear you."
Oh, so
good.
Oh, it's so good. You just gave me goosebumps, my man.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's anything else you want to say about Azula, because there's a lot there to mine, and if that's your favorite character, we should spend some time talking about it.
Yeah, let's do it.
We're gonna get to Sokka next because I heard Sokka from Patrick.
Oh, nice, cool. I love Azula so much for a lot of reasons. But she's got that, and bringing it back to Game of Thrones, she's got that sort of like Cersei arc, especially book Cersei arc, where like she feels the weight of her, like she feels the weight of everything that she's carried and everything that she's done to be where she is, and to have it snatched right out from under her, like just completely breaks her, just entirely. Yeah. And she's also weirdly dependent on her brother, and she also doesn't have friends. She has minions, and
please her father. You're right.
And the fact that they could, and the fact that she realizes that somebody could not fear her enough gets her so paranoid to the point where she thinks literally everybody is plotting to betray her.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is her downfall at the end.
If she can't hold May and Ty Lee in line, who can she hold in line?
Yeah. Agreed.
Yep, and that's why she turns on everybody at the very end. She knows she can't trust anyone.
Yeah, and it's so heartbreaking too, because like you're there with like Zuko, and like you understand, like he has, like his sister is still his family and like all this stuff, but at the end of the day, like it just wasn't enough, and that is why I love that whole arc so much. It's just
and then finally
it just hurts me.
Finally,
it's so good and it hurts me.
There's a part during an episode that just perfectly sums up Zuko and Azula's relationship, where they are fighting on top of an airship and they blast each other off, and Zuko gets caught by Appa, the flying sky bison. Yeah, that's a thing in the show. Well, Azula is just hurtling down hundreds of feet towards the ground. Zuko also worries, like she's not going to make it, and then she suddenly, pulls off and jumps a cliff. He's like, "Oh, of course she did." It's like I'm afraid she's going to die, but now I'm upset she survived.
Yes, exactly. That's very true. What else does that remind me of? Goodness.
I'm not sure, but I bet it'll come to you.
Yeah, it will come to me.
Like Azula's arc ended so beautifully, in that she didn't have a weak sauce, turn at the end,
Yeah.
Oh, I've been beaten. Maybe you're right. No, we never get to see that, and that's because unrepentant people don't repent after you beat them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like she goes from being a person who is in such absolute control that like she can't even abide a single hair coming out of order, and at the end she's just a screaming, sobbing mess.
Yeah,
just on the ground, just shooting fire out of her mouth because she has no other way to do anything.
That shot is my single favorite shot in all of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I mean, it's not mine, but it comes from probably the same episode. because Agni Kai is
Well, I mean,
gorgeous.
Agni Kai. Well,
Yeah.
not. I'm just talking about singular shots. Now, it seems
Okay.
objectively it's the best, but I'm talking specifically like one perfect shot.
I
Like,
got you.
yeah,
It's
mhm,
beautiful.
It's that
and
one.
it's so like heartbreaking because you don't want a person to be like that, but like
Yeah.
she so clearly is that.
And it's so like she's so inhuman at the same time because she's like just snorting fire. Like she just doesn't. She's breathing it out of like everywhere she can. She's just producing it all over the place. She's burning herself up with her own hatred, and she's still just like a girl in chains who's like losing her mind.
Yeah.
And it's just
And like,
the saddest.
like-
Yeah, it's
like,
very
she's-
sad.
She's so pathetic at the end. Like they don't even hate her; they just pity her.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
just Azula, I love
Yeah.
you.
All right then.
Yeah.
So Patrick, what makes Sokka so great?
Well, Sokka appeals to me because hold on, just let me take a cough drop for a second.
Okay. I would love a brother like Sokka, honestly.
Who wouldn't? He's amazing. I mean, he's annoying sometimes, but good.
I watched the show with my little brother, who is very much a Sokka type. So I deeply related to Katara anytime her brother was doing shenanigans. Yeah.
I love Sokka because he's a little bit of a sad sack. Like he's always the butt of the joke. He's whenever this is a scene where like all three of them get blown up in the sky, and Aang and Katara land in a bush, and Sokka lands on the stone floor.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
and he knows he's the he views himself as kind of the fifth wheel of the group, even though he's actually like arguably possibly one of the most important members.
He's the heart and soul of it.
He is.
Because everybody else is always messing about, he's always the one being like, hey guys, we got a mission, we got to do it.
Yeah.
Here's how we're gonna do it.
He's the guy with the plan, the maps, making sure they got food, making sure they're trying to stay on time. And he is, as you say, he's kind of the heart and soul because he's the one who's also lifting everybody's spirits with his humor and
And I love I love he's also the one who's kind of he's very down to earth. Like everybody else, like he's the guy who everybody else is living in a fantasy world, and he's the guy from the real world watching this saying, nah, this doesn't make any sense.
right. A guy with a club or a sword versus people that can shoot fire and fly through the air and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a one of my favorite lines from him is from season 1 episode, The Northern Air Temple, where they hear a rumor that there are still living airbenders at this temple, and they're on their way to it. And Katara asks him, "Oh, you think they're really going to be there?" He just says, "Do you want me to be like you or tell the truth?" and she's like,
a sick burn.
Yeah, she's like, "What? Were you calling me a liar?" He's like, "No, I'm calling you an optimist." Same thing, basically.
Yeah, Sokka's not exactly a pessimist, but he is a realist who is trying to be prepared for the worst possible scenario.
Yeah,
but like
and he's brilliant too.
His snarky humor is just such a thing of beauty.
It's so good.
He is simultaneously the stupidest and the smartest member of the group.
It's really true.
Because he's not stupid. He's really not, and you can see that as the story goes on. But he's got his moments where he's a bona fide idiot. Like a smart person can be.
I love how he grows too, because season 1, he's very caught up in his idea of what a man is supposed to be.
Yes,
and it's a very toxic and sexist.
He has to learn to overcome his own
toxic. Can I say the A word on this show?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Sokka's a freaking asshole at the beginning of the show.
Yep.
Kind of is.
Yeah.
He does not treat his sister well. He doesn't treat most women around him well, but they address that really early on. Maybe episode 4, is it? When they meet the Kyoshi Warriors?
Yeah, Kyoshi Warriors, yeah.
Because,
but like, But like, part of it is the waterbending culture, but part of it is he's trying to overcompensate for being the only male in the village. So he's trying to be his dad, but his dad is not really, and his dad's not an asshole, but he's trying to act like one.
Right. Well, he doesn't have a good example because his dad's been gone for years. He doesn't have a good example of what healthy masculinity looks like.
And not only is he overcompensating, not just because he's trying to be his dad, but because he feels like he did not live up to his dad's expectations, and that's why he was left behind.
Yeah. Well, he's, there's probably some meat on that bone, which might be why he's as crazy brave as he is. When the Fire Nation shows up for the first time in his village,
it's like a suicidally devoted.
And he doesn't even hesitate.
Yeah, it's like he's standing on an ice floe as the ship is just crashing through the ice right towards him. He's just standing in his way, like his little club is gonna stop it.
Yeah, but then even after they crash through, he grabs up a spear and makes rushes right at Zuko. Of course, he gets worked because he's not trained properly.
Yeah,
but that didn't stop him from going straight in. And he's called out plans as being bad plans, but he's leading from the front line. Yeah, it's several battles.
Yeah,
he's a boss, man.
And every time they have a plan, it's either Sokka has the plan to save the day, or he has part of the plan, and then he gives inspiration for somebody else to take the next step of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always built on what he thought of.
Right.
But as the series goes on, he learns he doesn't have to be this macho guy. By season 3, I mean he's just a lovable Dorcas.
Yeah,
it's so true.
Yeah, but he's a very silly person by the end. But that's who he is fully realized as a person. He doesn't have to try and be a badass because he's shown that he's a badass through his actions.
Right. And also he doesn't have the whole weight of the Water Tribe on him anymore.
Right.
He's allowed to be a boy and he's allowed to do things. And it's so this is a bunch of children thrown in this, and it can be hard to, it can be hard to see them as children doing all of this. However, they are also just brave, and they have to grow up so fast in different ways, but they all still retain their childlike qualities.
Yes.
Which I think is just amazing as they mature. And I really and Dorcasness as sort of his reclamation of his childhood.
Right. Sokka, I believe, is the oldest. I mean, Sokka and Zuko are, I think, about the same
age. Sokka is 15. Zuko is 16.
There you go.
Yeah, Zuko's the dad.
Right. Okay, well, I'll take. I don't know that I necessarily agree with you, but he is the oldest anyway.
Yes, you know how every group of lovable misfits have a parent figure.
Yeah, that's Katara, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Katara is the parent of the group. Mm-hmm. I think we should talk about her.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, we haven't even talked about Aang yet, but that's all right.
Yeah,
we'll
Aang. What? Who is that?
I don't know. Don't know.
That's fine. We're going to keep going.
I mean,
talk about Katara. Let's talk about.
It's not like the entire show is named after him. Yeah. So, talking about. I mean, you can't really talk about Sokka without talking about Katara, can you?
Yeah, that's true.
They're a matched pair. But yes, Katara is just very much the opposite of Sokka. Whereas she was forced basically into the role of an adult woman at the age of 8.
Mm-hmm.
And when Aang meets her at the beginning, he kind of has to remind her that she is a girl. She's not, just a woman.
Mhm.
Right. Because she's what, 14?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's 14. Yeah, she's got a bit of a Mary Magdalene, not Magdalene, a Virgin Mary aspect to her. She's kind of the one who brings the Savior back into the world.
Okay, I see that.
Mhm.
Which is, it's a very motherly. Yeah, she's. Yeah.
Yeah, but she's she's not just idealized person either though. She's she's got her issues that she has
Which
to
they
work
all
through.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like episode of the waterbending scroll where she's just so intensely jealous of Aang's natural waterbending talent.
Oh.
Whereas because he within a minute on literally his first try, he's mastered techniques that she's been trying to do for literally years.
And she's not special anymore, and I think that drives her insane.
Yeah, because she used to be literally the only bender, like in her little world.
Yeah.
In her village.
Yeah,
I think the last one left in the South Pole.
yeah.
Mhm.
All the others had been taken or killed.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah, I find Katara to be sometimes a little annoying with her because she is a little bit goody-goody. But again, I think that's the mountain she has to climb.
Spoken like a true Toph fan.
We'll get to Toph. But who is, for the record, my favorite character is Toph. Yeah, but we'll get to her.
Pop is the best.
Yeah, I'm glad you see the wisdom in my theory.
Yeah.
Like when Sokka is the one who keeps the group together when they get distracted, Katara is the one who keeps the group together when they despair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
when they're trapped in the desert with no way out, no food, no water, if she does not keep the group together and lead them out despite all their infighting and Sokka getting high on cactus juice, Toph being blind because she can't see through. If you don't know who Toph is, she's a blind girl. She sees through vibrations in the earth because she's an earthbender.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Katara leads them out of the desert.
Yeah. Toph doesn't show up till season 2, but she is my favorite character. For those of you that have not seen all the way through yet,
she is. I love her.
Yeah,
she's my rock.
But as annoying as Katara can be to me, what a beautifully realized character who is, the term strong female character gets thrown around a lot, and it can mean different things to different people. Katara is decidedly feminine. She's not masculinized in order to make her a strong woman,
Right.
Yeah, she can fight. Lots of people with bending abilities can fight, but her sort of more traditionally feminine qualities are the things that maybe are more important than her fighting ability. I would say the same is true of most of the characters, Yeah, they can all fight, and we're fighting bad guys in this story, but the best qualities they all bring, none of them is their ability to fight,
Yeah.
And she is a mother hen type character, she wants to take care of people, even to the point of did you wash behind your ears and make sure you eat your vegetables,
Which is why when she comes in and sees Toph waking up, still literally covered in a layer of dirt.
Right.
That's why the two of them, they annoy each other so much.
and her personal journey into coming to terms with the loss of her mother and all the stuff that goes down with the Southern Raiders thing, and she literally chooses not to kill someone and, learns. And with the bloodbender, she has
not even really out of forgiveness either. More just out of your life. You are such a pathetic, empty person that I'm not sparing you because I learned forgiveness. I'm sparing you because you're not worth the effort.
Right. Because,
yeah.
well, and there's also something that, and Zuko went with her, but like, I think she learned along the way, she figured out the damage it would do to her in order to take
Yeah,
vengeance.
like this guy is already dead. The only person I can hurt is myself.
Right. But through that journey, she's able to finally forgive Zuko.
Yeah.
Which is, again, very relatable. And that's probably the thing that always is going to suck me in about a show is, can I relate to these characters? And I can pretty much relate to all of them. And so
I do love that. Katara is the last of them to accept Zuko into the group because she's the one who felt the most personally betrayed by him.
Right.
Because she's the one who reached out to him
at the end of season 2. Yeah.
Yeah, the end of season 2, she opened up herself to him, and she gave him the chance to turn away from where he was going, and he turned his back on her.
Yeah. Like, I mean, we obviously understand that it was a very conflicted moment for him, but like, yeah, when it came down to the, crap or get off the pot moment, he crapped, So anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about Katara, Maddie?
I think my favorite Katara episode is, well, besides Southern Raiders, like I said, which is objectively the best episode.
Maybe not of the whole series. We'll argue later.
I really like the bloodbending one, the one where she like discovers like the dark side of her power and has to like contend with it and like in turn like contend with the darkness in herself. I really like that one.
Yeah, it's a fascinating journey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I guess you just made me think about how every human being that ever lived has a dark side to them. We all have a sort of bestial animal nature, and if you don't think you do, like.
And in the Southern Raiders, that comes out of her.
Mm-hmm.
She bloodbends the guy just to hurt him.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that's like the shadow self that Carl Jung would talk about, actualization, learning to like blend, your shadow self with your true self. And we see that especially in Katara's arc because of the bloodbending and Southern Raider episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah, love it.
But my favorite character is the blind bandit herself, Toph. Also the youngest character in the sort of core group.
Mm-hmm.
Is she 10?
She was 12 when they meet her.
Okay.
So I think she and Aang are technically the same age. Although I think end of the series, Aang might be 13. It's never said.
Yeah. Okay, but still one of the younger characters. But I don't know how I can accurately describe why I love Toph so much. But like, she's so tiny, but she's so self-assured. She's so strong and tough, yet she still has her squishy moments when you can get past that tough exterior. She's got, there is an episode, Tales of Ba Sing Se is a fantastic episode from season 2. And it's basically like, 5 short stories in a 22-minute episode?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But she and Katara go out and get prettied up and like, she has this moment of like, she gets made fun of, but she's like, it doesn't really bother me because I'm comfortable with who I am, which is a powerful thing to say, but that is a place she too had to sort of get to because she wasn't allowed to be herself by her parents at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then she just opens up the ground underneath them and they sweep them down the river.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love her.
Yeah, because you don't bully Toph.
No. She got a bully back. I mean, yeah.
And I think arguably she is the most important character besides Aang in the group in terms of the effect that she has on society at large and epilogue things happening. But she really was not happy in her life, and she made a life that she was happy in, and it makes me so proud. I love every Beifong. Love them all.
Okay, right on.
And I like that she learns that you can accept help from somebody and it doesn't make you weak.
Right. You know, I carry my own weight that very early on with her, where she had to learn to trust in the group, and you know, and that was okay and even healthy. You know, I might see Toph almost as a counterpoint to Azula in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
because they're so similar. They both come from privileged backgrounds. They're both extremely talented benders. Basically, the best at what they do. Who's better than Azula?
Yeah,
right.
Ozai probably. Ozai and Iroh are better than Azula, but nobody else is.
Arguably, sure, but like, it's not a slam dunk either way. You know. And maybe Boomy's a little bit more powerful than Toph, but like only because he's 100 freaking years old, you know.
Yeah, she literally
Toph is so like
she invents a new style of bending.
Yeah, just through sheer determination.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she got taught by like badger moles. Like she didn't learn it from her dad. You know, she learned it from the source. That's like, you know, okay, so what is it? Badger moles invented earth bending, the moon invented water bending, dragons invented fire bending, and I guess it was sky bisons.
Yeah.
And they all got it from, you know, dragon turtles, and it's really compelling stuff, but like...
And then Toph Beifong invented metal bending.
She didn't know metal bending was a thing. She was just, she just backed into it. Yeah, she's backed into a corner, just like, all right, the only way out of this is to bend this metal, so let's bend this metal.
Keep banging on it till I can feel it, till I can find the resonance of the earth that's still part of it. Yeah.
Iconic.
Love me some Toph. When I was doing my Sokka cosplay at that convention, I don't know, several years ago, there was a guy cosplaying as Toph. It was a big Pacific Islander, I want to say, guy wearing a Toph cosplay. Basically looked like Toph from the Ember Island Players episode.
The huge buff guy playing.
I got him to scream in my face. It was awesome. Speaking of which, we're going to take a mid-roll break here in just a second, but that episode is so good. The Ember Island Players episode on a meta level is so good in a way that it has no right to be, especially as you become more and more familiar with the series and maybe some of like the outside stuff, like the Great Defy, the biggest canyon in the Earth Kingdom. Let's just keep flying, you know, because it's also kind of like universally regarded as the weakest episode of the series.
Because it is.
Even by the creators, you know.
But it's the best. Yeah, like I understand it is weak. However, the joy that I get from that episode, like to this day,
it's still good.
It's just
like the way Zuko dies in the play, and his last word is "Oh no!"
I love that the play ends with them all dying at the end.
It's so funny.
And then like they drop the rock on Jet, and he's like, "Did he die?" And it's really unclear. But of course, it was really unclear in the actual show whether or not Jet died. So it's so delicious. It's so well done. And Patrick, we were discussing it earlier. There is an interpretation of that terrible Avatar, The Last Airbender live action movie that says that what that is M. Night Shyamalan's attempt to recreate the Ember Island Players episode.
No, I'm not letting him off the hook.
Okay.
That easy.
I'm just saying that idea is out there, and it makes it 1% slightly more palatable if I can just say like...
Well, he forgot the humor.
Yes. That's the thing that got me about that, though. Like, you didn't even call the characters the right names, and you didn't give them the right personalities, even. Like Sokka's,
or the right skin color.
I mean, okay, ethnicity is a thing that we can, if you're trying to have a diverse cast, yeah, I agree. You can have a diverse cast and not necessarily have to have Chinese people or Asians of this type or whatever. Zuko was played by an Indian,
Yeah. Well, I mean, that kind of falls flat when you have Sokka and Katara are the two white kids and an entire tribe of Inuit actors.
Yeah.
Like, what? Makes no sense. Yeah, like.
Well, it is what it
I don't
is.
know.
It is what it is.
It's
not a great movie. It's pretty to look at some parts, but
I still haven't seen it. I'm going to be real.
Don't.
The set design is very nice.
Don't.
I'm going to be real. I still haven't seen it.
Just
and
don't.
I don't plan on it. I might do a drinking game with it one day. We'll see. But
it has very nice set design. I'll give
exactly.
it that.
Like, it's pretty to look at, and that's pretty much all it's got going for it. But anyway, yeah. So we've been going for pretty close to an hour, y'all. So we're going to take a mid-roll here, and I wanted to say thanks to everybody in the chat for showing up. Thanks again to both of my guests for coming through. This has been a chat we've been talking about doing for a long time, and I've just tried to find a place where it would fit, and here we are.
I love it.
Getting to do it. I'm having a blast. I love this show. So I think pretty much everybody here already is a subscriber of mine, but if not, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button.
Hit it. Do it.
Yeah. We'll be talking about Korra at some point in the future. It may be a while.
Do it, or the blue spirit's going to come after you.
That's right. You look like the blue spirit right now.
I am the blue spirit. Thank you.
With the blue hair, with the Billie Eilish hair,
Yeah. Oh God.
So yeah, please please like the video, like the stream. It helps. It does. I'm not here to try to make a living out of this, but there are nerds out there and they want to talk with us because that's what I'm trying to do here is build that nerdy community. So help out if you could.
Yeah.
Also, I always say thank you to the patrons. Ridiculous Ed Tollett, I love you, man. You are like my number one patron guy. But also this last week was Thank You Patrons Day. And so I wanted to make sure that every one of my patrons gets a proper shout out. So once again, Ridiculous Ed Tollett, thank you very much. John Webster, who you can find his title in the description of the video. John Webster, what is it? Sir John the Timid of Houses Webster and Stark. Also, much love to Sharla the Woods Witch, Lady Shar, another patron of mine, good friend. Love you, Shar. Leaf Underhill, who's in the chat right now, is a patron of mine. And also Kraken Tacos, who I haven't seen today, but he can't always make it. But yeah, thank you to all of the patrons. I said thanks to all of them on Twitter. Leaf, I don't know your Twitter or even if you have Twitter, but I at least said your name. And I love you all and thank you so much. Speaking of which, if you my Patreon information is in the link down below. Join my Patreon before the end of the month and you get a shot at winning. I'm going to kick you guys off the screen for just a second.
Okay.
You'll get a shot at winning this giant mouse pad / laptop pad / card gaming pad with a Stark sigil, and I will ship it to you. And yeah, that's what's up for grabs this month. And any one of my patrons can win it, but you gotta subscribe before the end of the month, and I will be choosing a winner live next week.
Ooh.
During the season 4 of the Expanse hype stream, which is what's coming next week. Oh yeah, real quick about streams going forward. Next week, Expanse season 4. The week after that is when I have Aziz rescheduled since we crashed last time. Crashed and burned. Yeah, technology. What are you going to do? But between those streams is my birthday. So December the 5th, I will be streaming on my birthday. It is a Thursday, so basically I will be starting right after In Deep Geek finishes his stream. I will be streaming and I will just be chilling, having fun.
Yeah.
And pop by, say hi, because I have to work too early in the morning to go out Thursday night. I have to work too early in the morning on Friday. So
Oh no.
it is what it is.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't have to actually work that day. So this is the first time in years that I haven't actually worked on my birthday. So
yay.
Yeah. So yeah, come by, have fun.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, season 4 of The Expanse, the hype stream where we're going to deconstruct the trailers and get into it. That's next week, and I hope to see you all there. All right, now back to what we were talking about. Any other characters you guys want to bring up specifically, or do you want to move on?
I think we've brought up literally everyone but the main character.
Yeah, let's probably get to him. I mean, I guess we could talk about the Last Airbender.
Yeah,
movies.
I guess. Yeah. And the thing is, actually, a lot of shows have this going on for it, where like the title character isn't the best character. Like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, not the best character in her own show. But
yeah.
Which is not to say we don't love Aang.
Right, Aang is fantastic.
I really appreciate him. Like Katara, he can sometimes drive me insane.
Yeah.
But I I love him and I support him and I want him to succeed.
What I like about Aang is when he's at his most childish is usually when he's at his most wounded.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what it's really evident in season 3 after their attack on the Fire Nation has failed. He's just led everybody into getting captured, and just only a handful of them have escaped. And they get to their hiding spot, and everybody else is like, "Okay, well, we got to come up with some plan." I'm next, and he's just like, "No, I'm gonna go fly around. I'm gonna go exploring. I'm gonna go do all this stuff." And it's like everybody in the group realizes, okay, he's trying to get out of confronting what he's just been through.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what Aang's entire it's kind of his most defining character struggle is his he's crushed under the weight of his responsibility, and so he seeks to try and find ways to forget about it,
right,
or run away from it, or shirk it off to somebody else. And the first time he did that, he ran away from the air temple and was caught in a storm, and to survive, he went into his avatar state, which is whenever the avatar has a power called the avatar state that they can draw on the getting a little bit into Korra here. They can draw on the essence of the spirit Rava and empower themselves to be more powerful than any normal bender can be.
It's like they're going Super Saiyan.
Yeah, but Aang,
honestly, Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan. But anyway.
Yeah, but he's not at the point where he can do that voluntarily. It triggers by itself whenever he's in a life or death situation.
Yeah, it's a defense mechanism.
Yeah, so when he gets swept under the stormy ocean, he automatically triggers his avatar spirit and puts himself in a ball of ice, which is not found for 100 years. And when he comes out of it, all his people are dead. Because the Fire Nation attacked his home, knowing that one of the air nomads was the avatar.
Right. Hey, sorry to interrupt the flow of your thought here, but I just remembered something. Rebranding is coming for my channel very, very soon. Have an artist already working on new logo. I'm about to have an artist working on new banner art. So yeah, hopefully I will have it for my birthday stream, and I will unveil it. But yeah, so channel, literally the entire name of my channel is changing. I will have a logo instead of my other art that I use now. And it's meant to be indicative that I want this channel to be not just me, but a place where nerds come together to talk about nerdy things, to uncover the truth about stuff, you know. I don't know. I'm having certain ideas about, like, you know, that I do that. I know that nerd series. Well, you know, I wanted to reflect that we're like exploring the unknown in my channel. So yeah, new stuff coming in that regard very soon. I'm tripping over my words. I'm nervous about rebranding, but it is what it is. It's coming within the next 2 weeks. Fingers crossed. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, Patrick.
Yeah, and you know, he has to grow and change and learn to take on stressful situations as the series goes on, because like it's not going to get any easier. I mean, there's a clock ticking, and he has to fight this Fire Lord, or else, you know, the entire world is going to go up in flames.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's not an option for him to just, you know, just be a little kid and just let the world go on, you know, as it will.
Yeah.
And and by the end of that, essentially his fight with the Fire Lord is really interesting, because it's what you would expect out of the typical final battle between the hero and the villain, where, you know, they're both going at it, but the villain is more powerful and is beating him down. And but then midway through the fight, the switch suddenly changes. Ozai makes a fatal mistake, ends up triggering Aang's avatar state, which has been disabled through all of season 3 after he was literally actually killed at the end of season 2.
Yeah. And Ozai has that kind of back moment, you know.
Yeah, but it prevented his avatar state from being able to be activated.
Yeah, blocked chakras and all that, man.
Yeah, but Ozai, he accidentally just hits Aang right in the spot that Azula got him.
Yeah.
And he goes full avatar state.
Yeah,
like
it's incredible.
We have not seen before. And he just, I mean, it is not a battle anymore. It is an absolute rout.
Yeah,
at that point.
Ozai running for his life for 15 minutes, you know.
And it's Aang, and like Aang is gone. Like, he's not running from Aang. He is running from the murderous fury of just the mindless avatar state.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And at the end, Aang subdues him, and he is, you know, and it's like imagine, it's like Bruce Banner and the Hulk. So imagine Bruce Banner gets angry and he becomes the Hulk and he smashes up the villain. That's not really heroic, because that's not Bruce Banner doing it. That's the Hulk just going mad. And it's a similar situation. If Aang allows the avatar state to do what it will and kill Ozai without his input, like, what kind of avatar does that make him?
Right, and that to me is maybe the greatest thing about Aang and his arc, is that at the very end, he, despite what everybody else is telling him, he has a personal point of view as a pacifist that he is not going to kill the Fire Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And he does not deviate from his moral point of view. I cannot do that.
And like, the show makes it clear, like, him killing the Fire Lord would not in itself be an evil act.
No, it wouldn't. There's nothing evil about
his friends all think he should do it. His previous avatar selves all think he should do it,
or at least that he might have to.
Mm-hmm.
But their advice to him is, put aside your own. The world is more important than your
pacifism.
Yeah, right. Your personal philosophy. If you're going to do your job, you have to put it aside.
But how beautiful that he does not compromise his core beliefs.
And he doesn't allow his power to use him as a weapon.
Right.
At the end of the series, he has mastered it. It did not master him.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And you actually see that by the way he sort of like after he's actually won, he has a brief moment where his eyes and arrow flash because he's gone avatar state just for a split second, rises the water, sets the water back out. He
doesn't have to go fully into it anymore. He can draw upon the power without it. His body does not become its tool.
Right. Yeah, he has become the master, not the student, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I also kind of love that he's still a kid, like he wants to go play. He wants to go sledding on, the penguin thing.
He's an old soul and a young soul at the same time.
He's a child and an old soul.
This is like typically in fantasy series, there's usually the viewpoint character who doesn't know anything about the world and has to be told by the other members of the group. Whereas in Aang and Sokka and Katara, they split that among themselves because while Aang has seen the world as it used to be, and he knows where everything is, he knows what all these things are, whereas the two of them have been living on an ice floe their entire lives. Right. But they're the ones who know the history of what's happened over the last 100 years. So they're always discovering the world through the other person's eyes.
Yeah. I mean, imagine living in the world you live in now and then suddenly being dropped in post-World War I Eastern Europe. You might not realize how terrible things have been depending on where you are, but you can go places where it's like, oh, this is really bad. So I guess we'll talk about Ozai.
Mm-hmm.
Now, voiced by my personal hero, the brilliant Mark Hamill. Yes, Luke Skywalker is the Fire Lord, for those of you that don't know. But, he's in a show full of fantastic characters. To me, he's a little bit boring.
He's a bit of a mustache twirling villain. Whereas, because he doesn't really, which is okay because he's not really the focus. He's more of the catalyst.
I'm with you on that. But even Azula has motivations, and I understand them.
Yeah, but Zuko and Azula are the villains that the main characters interact with. Right. Ozai is this faraway figure that they don't know. They have no. Zuko is a little bit different in that regard, but like Aang and Sokka, Katara, and Toph, they don't know who Ozai is. He's just some evil guy they gotta be.
Yeah, which makes him a little bit less compelling as a character to me, because I don't understand him. I don't understand why he wants to do the things he does, why he's willing to go to the extremes he's willing to go in order to do those things.
Well, I think it's because of Sozin.
I mean, I get that, but like Azula is driven to her perfectionism by the desire to live up to Ozai's standard.
I think Azula, it's kind of she's afraid that she's going to become the next Zuko. What happened to Zuko could easily happen to her if she doesn't continually perfect herself.
Yeah, absolutely agree. She doesn't, to use a Harry Potter phrase, she doesn't want to get blasted off the family tree.
Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. So I'd say Ozai is kind of pulling double duty as a main villain because he's the villain of he's the physical villain of Aang's arc, whereas Aang's conflict is not so much about fighting Ozai as it is about mastering his potential. And Ozai is the physical threat that is forcing him to do this. Whereas on Zuko's side, where you actually see Ozai more as a man, less as just a raging fire monster. Ozai is the ideal that Zuko thinks he wants to live up to, but has to grow beyond.
Mm-hmm.
So Ozai pushes Aang to become a more realized avatar, and he forces Zuko to become a better person.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but again, he's a plot device more than a character.
I agree.
Which is not something you can say about pretty much any other character in the series, which is why it stands out to me. Again, I'm the first to say this show is excellent in just about every conceivable way. But, I'm not above pointing out where I find it to be less than perfect. And Ozai is one of those ways. Despite being beautifully animated and intimidating from a physical fighting sort of standpoint, but like so unrelatable, so unknowable as to be like...
And I think if we had known him or been able to relate to him in any way, it would have sort of complicated both Aang and Zuko's arcs in a way that didn't necessarily need to happen.
Ozai is not meant to be a complex character. His importance is how other people relate to him.
Right. Yes. I mean, I get that, but I see it as less than perfect. Sorry, it's one of the very few things about the show that I find to be less than basically top-notch excellent. And it's not bad. It's not like he's a poorly realized for what he is, but he is not a character with depth and motivation. Like naked ambition is all I see in him,
I will say, at least in the cartoon, he's intimidating. He certainly isn't in the Shyamalan movie.
I don't even remember him from the Shyamalan movie.
He just looks like some doughy... He looks like a doughy high school teacher.
Right. Okay.
like I don't know. Just
that's further like evidence that terrible Shyamalan movie is the Ember Island Players episode. Because it isn't the Fire Lord like kind of a doughy.
No, they actually they played him up as even more of the.
Oh no, it's Iroh. Iroh is the one that they have.
The Ember Islands episode, they made him even more over the top as just this cackling, mustache twirling megalomaniac who ends up winning in the end. And everyone in the audience starts clapping, realize, this is how like people want to see him.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay. One of the things that I've loved about this show, and we've kind of beat characters into the ground at this point, one of the things that I always loved about this show, though, was its sense of humor. It is really just quite funny.
My girlfriend turned into the moon.
Yeah.
That's rough, buddy.
Yeah. I suck. I have important moon duties.
Yeah, we're not going to give that line any context.
Right. Just how about my cabbages?
My cabbages.
It's like become like my leg, like the my leg guy from SpongeBob.
Yeah. Okay.
Then there are cabbage guys in Korea as well, so it's a universal.
Yeah, it's like it's become like a cabbage corporation.
Yeah, cabbage corp.
His like grandson is like this huge corporation. He's got a big statue of the cabbage guy with his cart.
Yeah, and the way they play it is played for laughs, but like honestly, a lot of times it's genuinely funny.
Yeah.
The bad guys all run around him, and Aang is, the bad guys are chasing Aang, and Aang jumps through the cart, almost knocking it over, but doesn't knock it over. But then
the good guys, everywhere they go, they just ruin this guy's life.
Yeah, but then he blasts it with air in order to slow down the bad guys. So yeah, instead of dropping a few cabbages, he loses his whole cart. It's just the humor in this show. What do we call him? Sparky Boom Man.
Yeah.
Or like I don't know. Sokka's got so many great.
I love the episode where we meet Toph, and it's just all these like ridiculous like pastiches of WWE wrestlers.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Boulder.
Yeah, that guy was played by Mick Foley.
Yeah, I did know that, and he's kind of like modeled after The Rock.
Yeah.
Which makes him I just love it. My cabbage leg. I like it, Jess. It's funny.
I just love Sokka's just like pessimistic, sardonic, just Like he's always everybody else is in a good mood, and he's always the one in the background just being whatever.
Except that he's got the best one-liners when he gets stuck in the ground.
Yeah,
and he like foo cuddly poops is the
yeah.
And he's like, if I get out of this, I swear off sarcasm and meat. And then of course, Aang shows up, the vegetarian. He's like, Aang, you got any meat?
Yeah.
I love Sokka for that so much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he can break the tension, but he's gonna be, you know, not like he's just a joker, but God, I love the humor in the show.
Like when he gets serious, that's like the best parts of the show.
Right. Yeah, but like as far as the humor goes, they find really interesting ways to work it in too. Like Aang is having this existential breakdown about having to face the Fire Lord, and so he's not sleeping, and that really starts to affect him. And then he starts to have these really weird dreams because of it. And some of these dreams are hilarious, like to the point of showing up to fight the Fire Lord without pants on, but like
or his bison is the one telling him that he needs to get some sleep because he's seeing weird things.
Yes. It's just, and you know, but that's the thing. Humor is Avatar is not a comedy. You know, it's a kids show and with some heavy themes, but it's not meant to be funny in the way a traditional comedy is. But it's got such a great sense of humor because that's life. Life is occasionally really hilarious. And John Webster, I see you over there talking about Mark Hamill also voiced someone on Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, and he's trying to get me to watch it. We'll see, buddy. It's on the list, but it's not at the top right now.
I mean, you missed the obvious role he played with the Joker.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, he's Luke Skywalker, bro. He's Luke Skywalker. Yeah. Sorry. Like, all others pay homage to the original hero of my childhood.
Agreed.
Thank you, Maddie.
Mm-hmm. I got you.
I got you, man. One of the things that I think this show did really well was introducing. Now, I mean, I don't feel like it's cultural appropriation the way they handled a lot of blending of Eastern philosophies. You know,
they told what is the phrase that I like to use? They told a Western story in Eastern culture, in like an Eastern sort of world,
right?
And I think they did it with like, I mean, I'm me, the white person,
right?
Did it very well. But
let's all three of us white people are. Let's all speak authoritatively on what is and is not appropriation of Eastern culture.
Right. And again,
as is our custom as white people.
Right.
But
so full disclosure to anyone who is of Eastern descent and may feel differently, forgive us. We're no offenses meant by any of this, but I perceive it as being a great way to introduce Western audiences into certain Eastern philosophies.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. We agree about a lot of things, Stephen.
We do. We do. Not everything, but we do tend to agree on a lot of stuff. But like in those Eastern philosophies, and it's not, you get the sort of like almost Zen Buddhist approach with airbenders. You get the more like Shaolin style warrior monks with firebenders. You get the sort of like Confucian way of looking at things through the yoga of waterbending. They work in a lot of like Hindu things with the chakras and the way the yogi guides Aang on his sort of like spiritual quest. They have some of the even like ancient near or Far Eastern animist stuff when you talk about like there's an angry panda spirit eventually, and that sort of like spirituality being attributed to the land and to animals being avatars of certain nature spirits. That's a very Eastern philosophy or an Eastern cultural thing. Yeah. But one of the biggest themes for me in this story is like, as the story progresses, each of the characters, they're having their own arc and their own story, but they're all kind of like progressing through learning the same lessons that are unique, but the lessons being uniquely tailored to them. Like in the first book, to me, it's about learning to make peace with the past, with what you've lost and with mistakes you've made. And of course, we can see that with Katara is probably most conflicted about her mother in the first, and what happened to her in the first season, with maybe the exception of that one in season 3.
Yeah.
We see it with Sokka having to learn to let go of his toxic masculinity, that it was a mistake, and he has to make peace with that, making that mistake, and that moves forward. Aang is very clearly, going through dealing with the mistake he made of running away from the Avatar, from the responsibilities, and costing millions of lives, if we're being honest, So, and of course, Zuko is a little bit slower than most, so maybe his story doesn't line up quite as well, but he's still learning to look at his past and identify where he's making mistakes in the past and how to do better. Whereas I feel like in the second season, or book 2, Earth, is it's learning about how you're limited. You need to learn to accept help.
I think Zuko's story in book 2 is definitely about seeing firsthand what the Fire Nation has done.
Right.
Yeah.
And having to reckon with that. Like
which is kind of why I say, like, maybe his story doesn't line up as well to what I'm saying, but in general, I feel like, book 2 is about learning how you are not perfect, how you are not able to do everything you want to do, and learning that having people around you to help you is a good thing.
Yeah.
And maybe like Azula is the upside down of that, she intimidates a couple of people into helping her early in book 2, and it falls apart by the end of the story, But then I feel like book 3 is about facing your fears to learn how to become the best version of yourself that you can be, which is probably where Zuko's story catches up to everyone else's, but each character has an element of their story that I feel like fits each of these really well, which means, they're kids, they're growing up, and most good kids shows are about the process of becoming not a kid.
Yeah. It's a coming of age story.
Right. And each of them goes through that in their own way, but their stories still reflect each other,
Yeah. As they should.
Cool.
No, I think you said that really well.
Thank you. So somebody else take over for a minute, because honestly, I have to go to the restroom.
Okay.
So somebody pontificate. You guys know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
All right.
And I will be back in just a moment.
Has anybody in the chat got any questions?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. Or anybody in the chat got something you want to talk about? Y'all hold it down. I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Ask us questions. Ask us to talk about things. We'll do it. We are here for you. What is something that you appreciate about the series, Patrick, that probably doesn't get a lot of love?
I think the thing that always brings me back to the series is I think it's the sense of love the characters have for each other.
The found family dynamic.
Yeah. It's like I've been reading the Wheel of Time series, and one of the things that annoys me about those books is the main characters, they hate each other. all they do is argue and snipe at each other, and it's so irritating.
I just finished reading a book series about a bunch of criminals coming together to do a heist, and they all have different complex relationships. Like, they don't all hate each other, but it's very interesting to have these people who clash, whose ideologies clash, whose personalities clash, forced to come together to do a job. and the way that sort of frustration happens, I think there's a lot of roots in sort of Avatar when, you know, like Zuko joins the gang and everyone is like, what? And that sort of like conflict that arises between them. But yeah, you're totally right. They the way they transition from, you know, the people they are at the beginning of the story to the family they've become at the end is just it. I can't sing its praises enough.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like at the end of the story, you feel sad, not just because the story's over, but I feel like, oh no, are these people going to like grow apart now?
Yeah, and that's something that they tackle really well in Korra, I think. Seeing the ways that they change, you know, like sort of, I don't want to say necessarily, but like, you know, people grow up, life passes, things happen, and seeing those like remnants in Korra is just like so trippy and emotional.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm back, by the way. It all came out just fine. Glad to report.
All right.
But that's a great question you had, though, Maddie, is what is the thing that doesn't get enough love? And I'm going to go, I mean, it probably does get plenty of love, but I don't know that we've necessarily given it the love I think it deserves so far. And that is the animation itself. It is so beautifully and fluidly animated. You know, a lot of times, you know, a lot of animation is drawn where people are like, the sword hacks are very stylized, or like they're standing and shooting and it's just almost a still, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas there's a kinetic energy to every fight in that show. And it gets, especially as you get into the season 2 and season 3,
I love the look of season 3, especially when they all get costume changes.
Yeah. And I especially think that it stems from the fact that bending is such a martial art, and that so they have like a wealth of A, references, B, resources to pull from in terms of the study as a like visual format.
Yeah,
so
I love the look of bending. It's never just like I point out my hand and I cast a magic spell at you.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel like casting. It is like becoming.
It's always an extension of the body's movements.
Yeah.
Yeah. I totally agree.
It's beautiful in that way. And the animators really capture that feeling of movement. You know, firebending is based on Northern Shaolin style, which is a very acrobatic, almost dancey, but very flashy martial arts style.
Very aggressive.
Yeah, very aggressive, and he's constantly doing flips and kicks and spinning around.
Like Zuko. Like you look at Zuko fighting Aang, and Zuko was just bam, 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 punch, 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 kick, bam, bam, just fireballs going everywhere.
That's why firebenders have the best abs.
Yeah, and then Aang, he's just always going in a circle. He's always pivoting his feet, always turning around, always got his hands going, like in a ball, always redirecting everything.
And you know, of course, that works into the philosophy of the Airbenders. They are non-confrontational. You know, their society is one of constantly, you know, they're called air nomads. They're constantly on the move, and they're, you know, like the wind, they find a way around, which is why earthbending was so hard for Aang.
Yeah, because you have to stand firm.
Right. You have to be the opposite of airbender to be.
Yeah, but it's not. I like it. His problem with earthbending is not. It's not merely a physical limitation. It's because Aang has to learn how to think like that.
Right. Almost, it's not just physical; it's almost metaphysical.
Yeah.
Like you have to like, she rolls the boulder down there, and the only way you're gonna earthbend that boulder is stare it down and be more powerful than
and know that you're going to stop it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's an important lesson, you know, metaphorically for children to learn. Both the way Aang does it, where you find that path around you. You know, the direct way forward isn't isn't the way I'm looking for. Find the nonviolent path, find the path of least resistance. But
I love
there's also something to be said for learning the lesson that sometimes you got to put your head down and put your shoulder into it and move forward.
And just move a boulder.
Right. And just move a
It
boulder.
It all comes back to Star Wars for me. Like when Luke is like, when Luke is like, I can't do it, and Yoda's like, and that is why you fail.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not because you weren't powerful enough. You didn't level up for enough XP grind. It's because it's in your head.
You didn't believe in yourself. Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is totally off topic, but I am going to take a moment, since you mentioned Star Wars, to just heap love and adoration on Baby Yoda, and we can continue whenever you're ready.
Oh, I'm all here for Baby Yoda.
I'll
probably do some Mandalorian talk once we get to the end of the season.
I am Madonna Baby Yoda.
Okay.
That is what is happening right now. I would die for Baby Yoda. Yeah. I will kill for Baby Yoda. Let's be very clear. I will take anyone
not
out.
That you would kill, you will kill.
I will kill. And I will walk backwards into hell for Baby Yoda.
Yeah. I've heard, I'm not going to name names, but one of my Twitter friends is pregnant, and she said she would literally leave her unborn child on the doorstep of an orphanage for a Baby Yoda.
I know that Twitter friend, and
you know her.
She should.
Yeah, I mean,
for Baby Yoda. For Baby Yoda.
Does her baby have force powers? No.
Baby Yoda is. Oh yeah, Anna, you're right. Baby Yoda, do. Baby Yoda, do. Anyway.
Hey, side note. Very important side note. I actually have to go very soon, because I have people over and a dinner is happening, and I didn't know about it. But Baby Shark live in concert are words that I had to see with my eyes today.
Okay, that's interesting. Anyway, yeah. Love me some Baby Yoda. We'll probably talk to the Mandalorian once it's over. Maddie, if you need to go, you got to go.
All right, thanks.
All right.
Please come tweet me about this show. Please. Yeah. Please come just talk to me anytime. Just send me GIFs.
Her Twitter's in the description, and
it's also right here.
Maddie, as always, it's been a real, genuine pleasure, and we'll have you back.
Nice to hang, Patrick.
See ya.
And we'll have you back again when we have something you care to talk about.
Oh, I will talk about anything. I will talk about The Mandalorian. I will talk about historic materials. We need to talk about historic materials. That's what we need to talk about. Okay.
I'm watching it. I'm enjoying it, but I'm not blown away by it. So
we'll talk about it. We'll save it for the stream.
All right, Maddie. Thanks for coming by,
guys.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Right, bye.
Okay, now it's just us guys. We can take my pants off.
Everybody logs off.
Right. Maddie's good, folks, y'all. You should give her a follow on Twitter. She's a good friend. So, I mean, Patrick, what else you got to say about the show? Because, I mean, I could talk.
I could literally talk for days.
Yeah, I know. You're probably a bigger fan of the show than I am, and I consider myself a pretty big fan. For a quote unquote kid show that came out when I was already in my 30s, I love it really a bunch.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about the movie?
I mean, I don't really have much to say.
I've got quite a bit to say.
Do you? I mean, I
feel like I would bore you if I got into everything I had to say about the movie.
Here's the thing, too. When I stream, I want to talk about the stuff I love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this movie does not make that list. It's
which episode of the show is your favorite?
What?
Which episode of the show is your favorite?
Okay, which episode is my favorite? I mean, I have a special place in my heart for the Ember Island players just because of its level of humor, ridiculousness, its meta-ness, the way it reflects on itself while actually being a set piece for continuing the arcs of the characters there as they're forced to face stuff from their past. So I really kind of have a soft spot for that episode. But favorite is probably I don't know. It might be the one where they're attacking during the eclipse.
Oh, Day of Black Sun.
Yes, the Day of Black Sun. That is such a
Yeah.
great, like, there's such great character moments for each of our primaries, as well as like bringing together a lot of the secondary characters we've met up to that point. You know, the swamp benders and
Yeah.
all of that stuff. So like I think
That's the one where Sokka like he literally has to replace his father.
yes, and like becomes a general.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that might be my favorite.
Yeah, I mean my favorite can be a basic bitch, but it's gotta be the 4-part finale.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
not one episode though.
You chose a 2-parter. I can choose a 4-parter.
No, I didn't. That's not a 2-parter. I'm just choosing. I'm talking about 2 different things. Like, I'm harassing you, Patrick. You know this.
I can say, the way I look at shows, if it's a multiple parter, I consider one episode.
I'm with you. And I guess you're right. Day of Black Sun is a 2-parter, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, I got you now.
Also, I love Zuko Alone, the one where it's just Zuko.
Right? That's a good one where he can't hammer nails in the roof and he gives the little kid the knife. And yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah,
also, got to give it up for Tales of Ba Sing Se.
Yeah, especially the Iroh.
Yeah.
part.
Oh, man. That's one that like makes me... I get teary. I tear up every time with that one particular short story, you know? And it's only a few minutes long and it's got some silliness in it, but like the end of it is so soul-crushingly sad. And like, so for those
like both in universe and in real life.
Yeah, because you may not realize this. People who watched the show all the way through may not realize this, but the original voice actor for Iroh died shortly before they were able to finish season 2. Now, they got somebody who was an acceptable replacement for season 3, but like that's why in early season 3, Iroh doesn't talk much. And you'll notice at the end of that little short story in the Tales of Ba Sing Se, there is a dedication to Mako, Mako, who is an Asian actor who did a lot of acting from basically the 1950s onward, and was
if you guys like Ninja Turtles, he played Master Splinter.
Right. I've seen him in several movies from like the 60s and 70s. He was he was one of those Asian actors who was in everything. Him and James Hong, I feel like were in everything. Yeah. But yeah, that one gets me every time, just because of Iroh and because of Mako. Anyway, yeah. So, do you have what would you add to it, or what would you take away from it if you could add or take away anything?
That's hard because like you don't want to mess with perfection,
Well,
it's like nothing's perfect, but some things are so good that I feel like if I were to try, like it's like seeing the Mona Lisa, like maybe I'll put a few brush strokes of my own on that. Oh no, I've ruined it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Because like I say, I would like to understand Ozai a little bit better, but the argument you and Maddie made that like that might literally detract from my experience with the other characters makes me not sure I want to do that. It's just good in so many ways. I'll tell you what I would do if I could. If one thing is, I would love to see season 1 reanimated, because they didn't have the budget as much in the first season. It's not as pretty to look at. By the time they got to season 3, it was gorgeous. It's just amazing to watch. And Agni Kai at the end of the series is with Azula's blue fire versus Zuko's orange fire is just maybe the prettiest thing I've ever seen in animation.
Yeah, that is, and the musical score too.
Right.
It's like it's like instead of being like the epic battle music, it's this very somber.
Yeah, like orchestral piece.
Yeah, it's like this is not like the climactic battle. It's like this is a fight that should not be happening.
Yeah, it's brother and sister basically fighting to the death. That's not happy, despite the fact that we've been seeing this coming and we know it has to happen. That doesn't make it something to celebrate necessarily.
Yeah,
and I think the musical choice in that moment is really good because it's so pretty to watch that if you don't have some kind of reminder that this is sad, you get swept up in the moment.
Yeah, the fact that Zuko is like Aang, he's having his fight. I mean, he's trying to take the pacifist way against the guy he's never even met before. Zuko is prepared to kill his own sister.
Yeah, and we know Azula is more than prepared to kill Zuko.
Yeah,
like looking forward to it even. Yeah. Well, Patrick, anything else you want to bring up? We've been going for about an hour and 45, so I'm satisfied. But
yeah, how long do these streams usually go for?
I usually go about 2 hours, but I'll ramble at the end to thank everybody, and I do like to give the chat a chance to bring up anything they might want to say. I have not been watching the chat that closely. I'm sorry, y'all. When I have guests, it is what it is. You guys know how I am. I read through when I can and catch up. But if you guys want to bring up anything in the chat, feel free. Any questions or comments about?
Yeah, who here has never seen the show and now wants to?
I only know of one person who said they hadn't seen it at all, and that was Wheezy Squeezebox, who I got into contact with her through Instagram this week, and it was awesome. We had a little chat, and it was really cool. Yeah, John, you're right. It's basically 2 hours, unless we're talking about The Expanse. Then it turns into like 3 hours. No, we did not talk about Sifu Kisu, which is something that we should.
Yeah.
And
it's kind of hard to imagine the show without him.
Right. I also should mention the names Brian Konietzko and Michael Dante DiMartino, who sort of like created the show. Oh, did Cracking Tacos just show up? Hey, man. Glad you made it, bro. We're not going much longer, but it's always good to see you, my friend. Always good to see you. Yeah, they created an excellent world, and we should. But you're right, Jess. We should give some love to Sifu Kisu, who was responsible for making the show what it was. Patrick, you want to talk about that real quick? Go ahead.
I don't really know a whole lot about him as a person. I just know what he did for the show.
And we'll tell the fine folks what he did for the show.
He is responsible. He's basically responsible for the bending. He created the bending. He based each one of them off a certain martial art, like fire bending, as discussed, is the Shaolin style kung fu. Water bending is based on Tai Chi. Air bending, I believe, is a Bagua.
Bagua.
Yeah, Bagua, and earth bending is Hungar.
Hungar, yeah.
Hungar, yeah. I'm very American, so don't try to, yeah.
But to the point, he didn't just. Okay, so bending, technically, the idea of bending was Brian Konietzko and Michael Dante DiMartino, the inventors of the series. But without Sifu Kisu, it would have been hand waving and then elements flying around. Sifu Kisu is a world-class kung fu master, educated in many, many different styles. And like, if anytime you see a battle scene in that show, it is based off movements that Sifu Kisu made, was recorded, and then sent to Korea, where the animators were, to be animated into the show. So all of the movements that various fighters are making there was raw footage for the animators to draw from, and all of that footage features Master Kisu. Yeah. So you're right. There's his impact on the show cannot be overstated. It's as pretty as it is because of Master Kisu. Yeah. Anything else anybody want to talk about? Anything else you want to bring up, Patrick? I think we covered it pretty well.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of hard to think of anything I haven't already talked about.
Yeah. I mean, again, for those of you that have not seen it or have only seen part of it, it's a show that continually gets better. It continually gets deeper. Every time you feel like it might be getting a little stale, they all of a sudden peel away another layer, and there's new levels to every character and every theme. So do yourself a favor and watch it if you haven't. And if you have, well, do yourself a favor and go watch it again, because it's just that good.
Yeah, it's endlessly rewatchable.
And it is on Amazon Prime right now, so it's really easy for you to go watch it if that's what you want to do. And yeah, I haven't watched it in I think it was like March, April I was doing a rewatch, so it's been a few months now, you know. Yeah. But I'll probably watch it again next year sometime.
And a live action adaptation is in the works for Netflix.
Yeah, you're right. And I guess we should mention that Netflix owns the rights, not the replay rights of the animated show, because like I say, that's on Amazon Prime, but Netflix has the rights to develop anything else out of that property. And I have heard they are doing a live action adaptation, which I am very dubious about. You know, they got to convince me.
I mean, I'm just going to go into it. I'm not going to expect it to be as special as the original was, but that doesn't mean it can't be good.
Right. And that's a really good way of putting it too.
Yeah, just don't expect to get what you got out of it the first time.
Sure, but like for those of you that don't necessarily or haven't seen it or don't know, this show was and is special. Even a decade after it ended, people are still rewatching it. People are still coming back to it. It's going to have a following for the rest of time.
Yeah, that's true, John. It is coming from the original creators.
I've heard they're involved, but that can mean a lot of things in Hollywood, man. A lot of things. Yeah. So, okay. I think we're done then, folks. I don't know what else to say about this show other than it's probably my favorite animated show of all time.
Okay. Definitely mine too. My favorite purely adult animated show is BoJack Horseman, and my favorite in general animated show is Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah, it's fantastic in every regard, and I hope that if you haven't seen it, that we've convinced you to go watch it, because the show is special and does deserve to be watched.
Yeah, and if you like the Last Airbender, watch Legend of Korra too.
Yeah,
that's an excellent show.
Yeah, we haven't even really talked about Korra, but it's from the same creators in the same world. You know, there's only one Avatar at a time. Aang is the Avatar in Avatar: The Last Airbender. Korra is the Avatar in The Legend of Korra. And there is some crossover because she's the one after Aang.
But it's like the world has evolved so much.
Yeah, because well,
Korra takes place in a very 1920s type era.
Yes, it's got a very sort of like late industrial, pre-atomic, airships and biplanes, and but it's quite good, and it's telling its own stories, and they're slightly more grown-up stories because Korra is a slightly older character too. I believe she's 16.
She's 17.
17. Okay.
She's 17 at the beginning, and I think she's like 21 at the end.
Yeah, that's another thing about Avatar: The Last Airbender, though. Like, the entire story takes place over a few months, even though it took 3 years to tell it on TV. From start to finish, it's like 6 months.
It's 9 months. It begins in winter, ends in at the last day of summer.
Okay, there you go. I defer to the expert who's seen it a million times, you know. Anyway, y'all, thanks so much for coming and joining us for this talk. I had a lot of fun. It's always nice to see all my peeps in the chat. Next week is the season 4 of The Expanse hype stream. So we'll just be talking about what we want to see in season 4, what we're excited for, maybe deconstructing that trailer that came out a little bit. I hope everyone has a fantastic Thanksgiving. I want to thank one more time Maddie and Patrick both. Their links to their Twitter are down in the description. Twitter is the place that this is the social media I use most. It's where I post all stuff for my streams and stuff. So find us all there. All those pertinent links are down in the description. Again, subscribe if you haven't. I'd appreciate it very much. Hit the like if you haven't. I'd appreciate that very much too. And to those of you that show up week after week after week, I don't think you guys can fully realize what you mean to me in my life. And I know it was Thank a Patron Day, and I thanked all my patrons, and I want to thank them again. But even if all you do is show up in the chat and say hi, you make me feel validated in some way, because, you know, you don't show up in the chat because you don't want to be here. You have to really want to be here to do it. And that makes me feel like I have a place in the community. And that's not something that I've always been able to say. You guys know that I have, you know, my social anxiety problems and whatnot. But so just a deep and heartfelt thank you to those who come out every week and make this our own little family. And so until next week, when we're talking about The Expanse, you guys take care of each other out there. And again, just thank you. I guess I'm in the thanking mood because Thanksgiving is coming up here in the States. And I am really, really thankful for each and every one of you. So that having been said, until next time, peace.
See ya.
And be excellent to each other.